Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Wednesday, it's January 21st. This will be our chart lesson for today. I wanted to apologize for the video yesterday. I had a really good lesson, and I got an email that said something about no volume or a humming sound, so I went and listened to the video on YouTube, and sure enough, there it was. So I went back and checked the original video because I still had it. I was hoping maybe it was just something with the upload or something, but the humming was on the original video as well. So I don't know what happened. I used some wireless headphones, and I opened it, opened my wireless headphones up and did a quick test on them last night after I got the message that the video wasn't, was acting up, and I didn't have any problems. It recorded perfectly. So, and I tested it just before I did this video just to make sure that we weren't getting a humming sound tonight. Everything's good. So I don't know if there was something interfering with the wireless signal or what. So, but anyway, needless to say, um, the video didn't have any audio last night, and humming was kind of a headache. But hopefully, you got some kind of value out of it anyway, and hopefully, we won't have any more trouble. But just wanted to let everybody know if it's not you, it's one on your end, it's something to do with the video, and it was during the recording, evidently. So. But let's talk about today and move on here. It's kind of late already. It's about 7:30 before I'm getting a chance to do this tonight. Um, Most of you know my father passed away in October, and so I've been, you know, struggling with my mother. My mother is not doing well now. She's not taking it well, and she's having some issues, and so I'm having to spend an exorbitant amount of time helping take care of my mother. And taking care of some, not only her, but taking care of business things and um, things that she just doesn't know how to handle on her own. So it's going to be a little hectic for me for the next year or so, probably. Hopefully, my mother will work through this and things will slowly get back to normal. But as of now, they're anything but normal for me. So um, the only bright spot is the trading has been really good, and I've been able to finish I think I traded 5 hours last week, tops. I had one of the biggest weeks. I've I wouldn't say it's not the biggest week I've ever had, uh, but it's probably the biggest week I've had in a long time. Um, Really good week. And so, you know, hopefully we can continue with this. I mean, you can see all the bars and the volume. This looks really good. From the open this morning till um, maybe late morning, 10, a little after 10, 10:30. I'd say the correction started about here. So about 11, we corrected for about 2 hours, 11 to 1, and then we took most of that correction back and ended close to the high of the day. We were probably off the high by 27, maybe 5 points, something like that. So really good day. But you notice this first move, you get a measured move there. Oops. And if you drag your line over there to where the rally started back, you look at that measured move to the tick. And I talked about that in the midday chart that was going to be my, I was expecting us to make it back to this trend line. I'm not completely convinced this trend line is any good, this bigger one. The midline sure came into play a lot. But we couldn't get back to that line today. We made the measured move for the most part, but then we came up short of that line. And notice we overshot it about that much and then corrected, and we never made a new high. We never had a retest of a new high. But I think if you followed this, you got a shorter term trend channel working up here, and if you followed it, you got the break here, you got the measured move with the overshoot, and then we corrected from that point until we made a bottom here and started back up again. And so pretty interesting day, but you can see that measured move right there. There's the first move, and there's where we had the little correction. You might measure it from here, but really we didn't start going higher until here. So I believe that's it. This is the correction in between, and I mean that's on the money. I believe that's a perfect measured move. looks like we missed it by a tick. So, but you know, normally what I'll do, that'll be my near-term target. Unless we hit the upper trend line first, I'm going to exit a few ticks in front of that. And so if you caught any runners here, man, it was a great move. And that's, you know, I played it to that measured move right there and exited within a few ticks of the high of the day. And so this stuff works over and over. And somebody was asking me about the measured moves, and you really could have measured this from here. But when we corrected again and made a basically what looks like a double bottom, and this we finally started working higher here, so I just moved it over to here. You get really close either way. That gives you, I think, a perfect measured move. I mean, to the tick, you can see that, and then you got one more little push up, and then it corrected from there. So for all intents and purposes, that is really the same thing. I'll tell you, I did move mine over to here thinking we might go a little bit higher, and we did. We actually went one tick higher than that. So, but this stuff works as far as the measured moves and things. So learn how to use those. Learn, pay attention to them, because they are a powerful tool. You don't want to trade off of them alone, but they're definitely a powerful tool. I don't know what happened to my trend line I had over here. Put the arrow back over there because it was what I was using for my trend line, I guess. But let's back out and talk about the trades. I'm sorry. Got distracted there for just a sec. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see what's going on. But I like to back out and show you the big picture. When I came in, we really were working downward. We had a clear channel working downward here, and there's even a little midline in here. You can see it right through there. Go ahead and put it on there, so people get used to seeing them and how they look and how they operate. But we had a notice we're working up, and I don't have that on here either. You got a little channel working up, and you got what looks like it's probably a little steeper than that. It's probably more like that. And you got a little close outside of it here. Let's just see how it fits on the other side. I think it's even a little bit steeper than that. Yeah, that looks a little better. You had your close out here and attempt to go higher, and then it turns down. But that's a failed. Notice the new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry, and it looks kind of bullish. But if you're paying attention, you know the channel's here, and you don't want to go long right there. So you just got to sit tight, and then you get the failed second entry long. It's a trap. I like going short right there, and that one worked on down. There's a second entry short right there off of the trend line, and that kind of confirmed it. But look at that bar. It's kind of a hesitation bar. There's no real break of this channel yet. So it's a little bit questionable taking that second entry short. That's why I marked it in green. If you did take it, what you'd want to do is wait for prices to break lower, and then maybe try to get in way up here back by the EMA. And that you could have done that and gotten out on that trade and then got another chance to enter here. So I did circle that one in green, but I just think it's real iffy. And there's a failed second entry. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one green right here too. There's a failed second. Notice that's a new swing high because it's higher than that one. So even though this swing is lower than that one, it's still a new swing high because it is higher than that swing high. So your pullback, first entry, pullback, and there's a second entry long, but that's also a breakout pullback short. Look at that support right across there. And so there's a couple of, some aggressive reasons to enter there. I'm not crazy about it, but, if you saw those reasons, you might want to enter there. And it was a quick, easy scalp. And then we get a little trap here. We're going higher. It's tempting to enter there, but I think you're crazy to enter there. You got to wait, and unfortunately, you don't get to enter until way up here. But notice how it breaks lower and turns back up, and it's right off that trend line. I'm using my arrow here, but it doesn't matter. It works as a straight line as well, and you can see how that comes off that trend line. And then there's a failed second entry short here that turns and goes higher. And that's a little two-legged move back to the trend line, basically. So I like that one. And then you got another little move here. You almost really got a break of the little trend line right there. Depending on how you drew your trend line, it's so close, it's questionable. But aggressive trader might take that. There's just enough room to get out before you get to the high, but it didn't matter. It just shot on through there. But you're taking a chance when you go long and right into that resistance there, and you have to be very careful about that because that's where you'll get trapped. And of course, then we've got what looks like a possible break of the trend line, a move to a new high, and it's a failed break above this this double top here. Notice we had a little failed break. I don't have a line down here, but notice you had all that support across there. And you got a little failed break lower right there, and you got about a measured failed break above the upper side. You get a second entry short right there, but it's right at the EMA, so you're better off just to wait and see what happens. You did get and you got a break of this little channel working down, but when it went higher right there and then turned down and went out the other side, I like that. It's a failed second entry long. And this was looking like a range, so I was expecting prices to probably come back down here and test this low here. And we didn't quite get there. We got a nice little move down. It took a little work. It was kind of choppy. But again, you're looking for, there's your first move down, and then there's your correction. So you're looking for a measured move. And look at that. Perfect to the tick measured move. And, you can see these things over and over all day long. They're here. And it's interesting to watch them. So, and then you get a reversal. I don't see a good setup here. Again, there's too much overlap. Look at all the overlapping bars. You get a little pull back there in a correction. So that's a second entry long. But again, you're getting right back up into this, and it's just not a very good setup. I think you need a trap or something. And then you do get a trap here, but by the time that trap triggers, you got two side by side, you got two dojis, you got another one. So this just looks like a little trading range. And you're going, and there's a double top right there. So I don't like going long into that. If you took it when it instantly turned down and failed, you got to go, you got to exit there for sure. And you probably want to reverse. But I like just sitting tight and seeing what happened, and it broke higher, turned down, and went out to the side. I like to go in short right there because it was a trap. And I really thought we were going to make that next move down. But then guess what? You got a double bottom right here, and it makes that one little tick lower. And you do have this trend line now. You were able to draw this trend line off that swing right there, and that confirmed it. You didn't really have a confirmed trend line and channel here yet going up until it bounced right here, and that confirmed it. So I definitely liked going long right there, and you ride that right up to the other side and exit. And it looked like it was going to give you another entry, but it didn't, and it turns down. But notice how I circled that one in purple. By this time, you just got too much resistance there. Look how this whole thing looks, even though it's got a little upward bias, it just looks very choppy, very range looking, lots of dojis and equal, matching highs and matching lows. So just sit tight there and wait and see what happens. And it doesn't give you a long trap. If it would have broke higher and turned down, I'd say go short there. But notice how that bounced right off that trend line. It was, but you got to wait on the second entry when you got when you got a big bearish bar, then a doji, then another doji. And, even though it's kind of going up that channel, it's just not a good second entry setup there, and the first entry is horrible. So thought we were going to get a second entry right there, and it just didn't happen. It turns down. You might have considered taking a short there, but I think like I said, I think you're just better off to wait, see what happens, and then it does bounce. and it starts working higher, but you never really get a chance to enter, and it kind of it's just like a repeat pattern. Look at that move up and how it does, then it moves up, and it's a repeat pattern basically. Um, it's almost a perfect repeat pattern. And then this right here, you notice that little double bottom and that one tick trap, and then you kind of got the same thing right here. You got a little double bottom. It didn't make the one tick trap. I'm sorry, but it does give you a second. Notice that new high pullback first entry, pullback second entry, and there's a big bullish bar. So I did like going long there, especially with that double bottom, and it's a little bit higher than the previous swing low. So um, it looks similar to this right here. This whole thing looks like a repeat pattern, really to me, and it's working higher. You don't really get another chance to enter this one till here. It does come off the trend line. It kind of confirms it. But look at that bullish bar. You got to go long at the high of the day. You really needed to be in down here if you're going to go long. And the only real decent place I saw to get long was right here. You might have tried to take this second entry long here, and if you did, if you stayed with it, it would have paid off. But I don't know how you could stay in that. You probably would have had to exit it with a tick or so, or whatever it would give you. If you did stay with it and kept your stop where it's supposed to go, below that signal bar, then you would have been in this. But I don't. It's really hard to do. This was about the only place you could enter and ride this up. And it's a nice second entry long. It's a big bullish bar. You probably would have tried to get in a little better with a limit order, but sometimes you miss these trades. I actually thought it was going to back up right here, but it didn't, and it broke on through, and that turned out to be a really nice trade right here. And if you really want to be aggressive, you could enter on this green bar right here. Again, I'd use a limit order. Notice you've only got filled maybe a tick back in that bar, though, or right at the top, but it still would have saved you a couple of ticks. And it was a nice little move up there. And then notice that we had the break of this channel, well, you can't really see it, the shorter term channel that I got working up through there. We had a break of it now, and I want to show you another measured move. You got that move, and then you got your other one right here, and it does shoot a little bit higher than that, not much, so you get a little better than a measured move on that one. Your better measured move was off of that first move up, but that's another thing I'd be looking at. Actually the measured move is from right there. There's the high, and then the correction or the new move starts right there, and you see we went a little bit higher than that. But then you get the correction. Notice the break here and move to a new high. Not enough room there to go long after that being that far away from the EMA. It would have worked, but I just don't see any way to enter that. There's a little two-legged pullback. It's a second entry long. You're looking for a retest of the high, but a lot of times these will tick one tick higher or make a double top and then correct. So you got to be real, you got to be real careful with those. And the bias has been up, so I really didn't like taking anything down here. You really need to wait on a second entry, and you get one right here, a second entry off the high, but you've already moved down and you're right into the EMA. Look how flat it is, lots of overlap there. There is a second entry short there. Again, it's not a very good setup. So I just don't think that one's worth taking, especially after those big moves up, and we didn't quite get to what I thought was the top of the trend channel. But notice we get a two-legged pullback right to the midline. And notice how we undershot it here. So if it does head lower, you're looking for it to overshoot it, or either undershoot it or overshoot it by an equal amount. And it does overshoot it by almost perfectly equal amount right there. You can see that. But anyway, that's a second entry short. And look at that big bearish bar. But you really needed to go short below the little doji there. And there's a little bit of a trap there too. Notice that. Pull back. And there's a first entry, and it pulls back and it breaks higher. So it's a little bit of a trap there, but I really like that bearish bar when it broke lower there. And you got just enough for a short on that one. And then it bounces, And it was tempting to think about going short here if it would have broke lower, but you got that support there. But I really thought we were going to work on down and make a new low and head to this other side. So I was thinking short, and then suddenly it reverses and goes out the other side, and you got that little trap. Notice you got a double bottom and then another little double bottom. It's like that little uh, trap again. So I kind of like that one to the upside. The bias was still up at this point, but when we found resistance across here again, um, you can't go long into that stuff right in there. So you just have to sit tight. And then you get this little, notice this new high pullback. There's actually a little two-legged pullback with a second entry long there. But again, there's so much overlap. It's right into that midline. It's right into that resistance that I just didn't like going long there. I think you just have to sit tight. And then you get this little failed break higher and that big bearish bar. I like that one for a short. Quick, easy move. I didn't like going short right into that support now. Turned out okay. And then you get a second entry short right here and a big bearish bar, but it's right into this trend line again, and you know there's a chance it's going, but look how it starts going up and down, up and down, up and down. But when you get that big bearish bar right there, after a failed second entry long with a fairly nice bar there, it went lower first, then went out the upside. I like that for a short. But this other one, you really just have to. This is another one of those where you just have to kind of sit. It's just too much overlap on those first few bars, and you got to kind of wait on a trap or something. So I'm gonna cover all of them in lavender. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 bars in a row there. A couple of them are dojis, lots of stems. But then you get that big bearish one, and you're looking for a new low anyway because this is the first break of this little channel working down. And there's enough room to get out before you get here. It ends up going a lot lower. And that was the last trade I marked for the day. Actually, no, it's not. We did go lower. That's just, I was thinking that was the 2 o'clock, but that's the 12 o'clock. There were a couple of more longs here. You already had your break here, a new low. There's support across there. There was resistance. So I don't like going short in that. It was a good trade, but I really just didn't like it. Looking at it after the fact, you got a new low, first entry, and then it pulls back and goes higher and then turns down. There's a second entry there, a form of second, and this almost looks like 2 legs back. Tell you what, I'm going to mark it green because some of you, if you were still trading during the lunch hour, you might have liked that trade and taken it, but I still think it's a little risky because it's into that support. You can see that across there. It's been acting as resistance, and then it started acting as support, and it's trying to act as support again. And you break, you fall, you shoot down, but now you've got a break and 2 legs down. And here's another thing: once it started going lower, you got 1 leg here, so you're looking for a measured leg down, and we didn't quite have that. But we end up having a measured leg there, and this one came up short. So you really, you got 1 measured leg, and we didn't quite reach the other measured leg. Let me get this just right and see. And so that was another reason I kind of didn't like that one, because you don't always get that last push. You get a lot of last pushes after measurement, but usually they'll only go a tick or 2 and then fail. And this one went a lot further. It almost went a 3rd leg, and then you get that little trap again where it gives a nice bullish bar and then tries to go lower again and then bounces with another bullish bar. And this one, you might have been lucky to get into it. This is how efficient the ES is. Most people probably didn't get in that trade unless you had your stop sitting there a little bit ahead of time, and you might, because there's 3 matching highs right there. So if that reverses and goes higher, it's going to take some buying to get through there. So you might have had your stop there and gotten entered in that trade, but a lot of people miss that trade, and look what happens. It comes back and goes just far enough below to catch those orders, and then it makes the next leg up. The ES is just super efficient, but I like that trade there. and I like if you can get in it. There's a failed second entry short there, so I like that one. I really thought we'd go on a little bit higher. It got enough to get the scalp, but then it pulls back because there's orders sitting here, so they come back for them. The prices come back for it. And then there's a second entry long there. It's not a great signal bar on my chart, so I marked it in green, but it is a two-legged pullback. Um, Second entry long, and there's a lot of stem down here, so it almost closed on its high, but look at it go. And then you're looking for that measured move. There's leg one, and there's leg two. You see we went just a couple of ticks higher, and then it corrects again. And I didn't mark anything because that got into the 2 o'clock hour there. So you don't want to trade after 2 o'clock. Not that you won't ever see any trades at work or good setups, but for the most part, it's just really dangerous trading that late in the day. Most of you are familiar with my stance on trading after 2. I really don't like to trade after lunch, to be honest with you. But some people don't get a chance to trade early, so I would actually rather trade the pre-market from maybe 6:30, even maybe 6 to about 8:30, than trade after lunch. It's just maybe it's just me, but I think that you have more, you tend to see more traps and crazier things happen in the afternoon. The real reason I don't like trading in the afternoon is because if you make a mistake, you don't have time to come back. Where if you make a mistake early in the day, you got the whole day to come back and wait on another good trade. And if you make a mistake after 2 o'clock, odds are you're not going to make it up that day. You won't have time. So that's the real reason. And for whatever reason, I tend to, when I do have a loser, it tends to be in the afternoon. I don't know. I don't think it's any harder. The price action works the same, but there's just more little traps and crazy things that happen. And the main thing is you don't have time to make it up. So, but another good trading day. Some good trades to the upside, some more good trades to the downside. This looks a little rangy in the end. I think it's just a bigger range. You can see there's the high and there's the low, and there's a midline across here. And that's pretty easy to see. Nothing difficult about finding that. But it had an upward bias the whole way up, and then it tried to come down, and around the midline it found support and went higher again. So in the end, it's just a big two-tiered trading range type day. So, but good trades today. Been a good start to the new year. Been a great month, and hope you're having some good trading. And hopefully the volume's working tonight on the video, and there's no issues. And I'm gonna check it before I upload it. But 30 minutes. A lot of times I used to would do these over, but when it gets so late in the evening and 30 minutes, and then I got to spend another 30 minutes doing it over again, I just don't have the time. So I apologize again for the video yesterday, but hopefully it was a one-time thing, and we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. But this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.